What's up, metalheads? My name's Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel. Thank you guys for being here and watching the video. I do appreciate it. If you are watching this video and you are not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate your subscription. More than half of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so consider hitting that subscribe button and turn your notifications on. I try to drop daily videos, and a lot of days I do multiple videos. So if you enjoy this video, hit that like button for me also. That really helps the channel also. Alright, today we're going to take a look at 5 made in the USA knives. These are more premium made in USA knives, premium materials being used. And just take a look at some of them that are being done here in the USA. This is the Bradley Cutlery Alias 1. This is actually a collaboration done with Benchmade. And I'm not sure when this knife came out. This knife was sent in for the knife sale. This one is available, by the way. These were originally $200. For a titanium frame lock with S35VN made in the USA, that's incredibly impressive in my opinion. Pocket clip is not reversible, but it is tip up or tip down carry. Pretty good action on this knife. I mean, yeah, it's really good. It's a longer knife, 3.6-inch blade, medium-sized hand here. It's not too big for my hand, but it's, you know, depending on your hand size. If you got a large or extra large hand, this is probably perfect for you. For me, it's a little big, but it's not terribly big, and the weight is not that bad for the size of the knife at only 4.2 ounces. I like this knife a lot. These are currently sold out. Like I said, there is an Alias 2 out now. I'm not sure what the actual differences are between those two, but if you look around, you can find these, like this one here, you can find these on the secondary. So, yeah, I wish they wouldn't put this all over the blade. Other than that, I don't have too much to complain about with this knife. It doesn't have the greatest detent in the world, but it's not a bad detent. It's just not very stiff. The lock bar on this thing is so buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. And great access to it with the jimping in there and then the cutout on the show side. It's just great access and buttery smooth. This is, I wish they'd make a slightly smaller version of this knife and drop it actually, because I really like this knife. And for the money, it's hard to beat. $200 for made in USA titanium frame lock. Don't see that out there very often. Excuse me. Next up, we have a knife from Three Rivers Manufacturing, aka TRM. This is the Atom. These start at about $255, and they go up depending on the scale material you get. There's lots of different variations, and then they sell scales separately, so you can endlessly customize these knives and make them however you want them to be. This is Eugene's, and he put this Arctic Storm Fat Carbon on it, which I think looks absolutely amazing on this knife. This thing has, this one's on washers. He's broke this thing in. It has such good action for a washer knife. It almost feels like bearings, but it's just buttery, glassy smooth. Super thin and slicey, very lightweight. The weight on these run right at 3 ounces, and blade length is 3.5 inches. These are 20 CV blades still. And just fantastic knife to be made in the USA. And for the price, yeah, it's very competitive for what you're getting here and supporting local businesses. $255 starting price is more than fair for this knife, and I'm a big fan of this knife. They make one called the Neutron also, which is very similar, a little shorter though. I prefer that size with a medium-sized hand. But if you have a larger hand, this would be perfect for you. So lightweight, thin. Yeah, it's a great knife, man. Fantastic knife, actually. TRM makes a lot of knives that are very competitively priced, and I highly recommend checking them out or any of their knives out. Next up, this is probably the most expensive knife on this list. This is the Hinderer XM-18. First thing I need to point out about this knife is it comes with a flipper tab. The owner, Craig, has done a flipper delete on this knife and had the flipper tab removed, which I'm a fan of. I'm not a big flipper guy, so I definitely prefer it without a flipper. One thing I will say about this knife is it has an unfellable detent. It has a really stiff detent. The detent is designed for the flipper, and now that there is no flipper, it's unfellable. The detent, I'm assuming it would be unfellable with the flipper also, but I don't know that. This is a knife that I've seen online. I've seen a lot of people do videos on. I've looked at a lot of pictures, and I've always thought it was terribly ugly. Never been a fan of the look of this knife. But once you get it in hand, you understand why it looks the way it looks. The ergos are superb, man. They're so good. It's just, this knife is designed to melt right into your hand. It looks the way it does, so it feels the way it feels. They didn't, I don't think they designed, this is my opinion, I don't think they designed any of this for the looks. This is all designed to land your hand just like this, because this knife, it just becomes part of your hand when it's in your hand. That's how good it is. It's fantastic in your hand. Yeah, 20 CV blade steel again. Another one that's on washers. You can get these in endless variations. Different scale materials, titanium, fat carbon, G10. And they start around $420, and they go well up from there, depending on what you decide to get, and different anodized options, and there's just so many to choose from out there, and they can get very costly. Yeah, $420 starting price can be, in my opinion, a little steep when you consider some of the other knives and pricing out there, but you know, to each their own. If you love this knife, you love this knife. I'll tell you what, this is one of the best in hand filling knives I've felt. That's how good it is. It's absolutely amazing how good the ergos are in this knife. Give me a second, guys, to get a drink of my water here. All right, next up, one of my all-time favorite knives, one of the favorites in my collection, the Tactile Knife Co. Rockwall. This is the golf ball edition, but the regular edition just has like horizontal or lines grooved, micro milling all through there, and looks really good also. They start at $300 for that version, and these are like $330. These are all out of stock. The other one isn't stock though. This one is actually on bearings. It's magnet cut steel, titanium inset lock, or liner lock, whatever you want to call it. Recessed liners. Very good looking knife. The fit and finish on this knife is freaking fantastic. These guys started out making ink pens, tactile turn, and then they started making knives, and they used that, you know, the precision they get from making their ink pens to make a knife, and man, they knocked it out of the park with this thing. This one runs $300, and it's worth every penny of it. Every penny of that $300. It makes me question the price of some other American-made knives when these guys can do it for this amount of money and have it turn out this good. It truly is fantastic. Buttery smooth action. Detent perfection. Unfellable. Mine is unfellable. It has such a good detent. Makes some really cool sounds too in the open and the close. Tings. Tings everywhere. Tings there. Tings there. Sounds really good. Feels really good in hand. Very neutral ergos. Not a very large knife, but kind of long. More of like a gentleman's carry, kind of slender. Medium-sized hand. And you can choke up right here and get further up there. Pocket clip works really good. Pocket clip is stainless steel. It is not titanium. Blade length on this one, 2.84 inches, so just under 3 inches. And yeah, it's a great knife. One of my favorites. I highly recommend this to anyone. If you're looking for a really good premium made in the USA knife, that yeah, you can't go wrong with this knife. Fantastic, absolutely amazing knife. I cannot wait to see what these guys do in the future. I'm so excited. They're probably the company I'm the most excited to see what they release in the future because of what they've done so far in such a short period of time. Next up is probably as far as cost goes, it's right there with the Hinderer. This is the Chris Reeves small Sebenza 31. This is the Tanto variation. It comes in a drop point variation. This is another one. There are lots of different options to get this knife in, and the price can go way up depending on what you get. This is more like the base model with the Tanto. I think the price on this was $450, somewhere in that range. You can get these with all kinds of inlays, all kinds of different materials, and they can range up $1,000, and they can get extremely expensive. One thing I'm going to say about this knife, this is washers by the way, is that this thing locks up. You can hear it when it locks. It's so solid, and you can hear the detent on the close and hear how good it is. I mean, it's just, this thing is built like a freaking tank. This is not a very large knife. This is the small. There is a large version of this also. Hollow grind. This is not one meant to be flicked out. It's more for a slow roll. One thing I will say about this knife, this is a terrible thumb stud. A lot of people to get these replace the thumb stud, get a double-sided thumb stud. It's terrible because of that point. It's not very comfortable on your thumb. But I'm pretty sure it was designed that way so that this knife could be used wearing gloves. With that point, if you got a pair of leather gloves on or some kind of work gloves, you could easily still get your thumb on there, and it would work very well with gloves. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if that's why you went with this shape of a thumb stud, but that's the only thing that makes any sense to me, is they wanted you to be able to do it easily wearing gloves, because it's not very good without gloves. It's pretty uncomfortable, actually. So, but there are lots of people out there that replace the thumb studs, and you can get all kinds of different materials for the thumb studs, colors, whatever you want to get. Titanium frame lock again. This one's all titanium. Blade steel on this one is S35 VN. Yes, S35 VN on this one. It's a good looking knife. This one's the plain Jane model. Looks really good, feels really good in hand. Like I said, this thing is built like a tank. This knife is one of those knives that you can pass this down to your grandkids. As long as you take care of it, this thing is built to last a very long time. And you just feel it in the close. You can feel how premium it is, and you can feel it on the lockup. Just how solid it is. Not a large knife, but it feels like you could do whatever you wanted to with it, with how it's built. It truly is built amazingly, and it's pretty impressive. I hope they can get the prices down on these and these, compare with this in the future. I don't see why they can't. Although this is a great knife, Personally, I feel they're a little overpriced because of this knife. This knife has reset my expectations on pricing when I see what they can do with this one. So people love these knives. People love these knives. People love all these knives for different reasons. And I think they're all fantastic knives in their own way. And I support buying every one of them. I would highly recommend all of them. Depends on your budget, of course, but you're supporting, American companies, American families, American jobs, and we need to do more of that. Nothing wrong with buying Chinese knives. I own lots of them, but where you can, buy American. There are more affordable American options out there than these. These are more premium options, but there are some more affordable knives made in USA out there that you can get, and maybe I'll do a video showing some more budget-friendly made in the USA knives, so in the future. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Comment below, what is your favorite made in USA knife that you have in your collection? Or if you don't have it yet, what's the one that you want to get? What's the made in USA knife that's on your list to get in the future? One of your grails, or just on your hit list? You're going to get it at some point. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.